studies again confirm that natural immunity from COVID provides high protection against infection, and that the value of wearing masks during the pandemic was approximately zero. We and countless others have known this since 2020, yet we were subjected to non-science-based policies of mask wearing and school closures. And if this were questioned, people, they face retaliation and or termination. And our brave guest today sadly experienced just that. You will not want to miss 1 minute.
This episode of Moms on a Mission is brought to you by our good friends at Beverly Hills Precious Metals. In light of recent bank instability, diversification is a must. Go to bh-pm.com to protect your wealth today and use promo code MISSION to save a little money. That's bh-pm.com, promo code MISSION. Also, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at momsonamission53@gmail.com and connect with us at momsonamission.net.
Our courageous guest today has been a senior exec at Levi Straus for over 20 years and was shoved out of the company for simply speaking the truth. Please welcome to the show, Jennifer Say. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hi,
we
Jennifer.
really appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. For those who may not know you or your story, tell us who you are and what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. I worked at Levi's for close to 23 years. I started as an entry-level marketing assistant in 1999. I worked my way all the way up the ladder, which was not easy as a woman in corporate America in the early 2000s. But I kept going. I pushed forward, and the higher I got, the more I found I was able to influence the culture and make it more welcoming to women as well as other folks. And I loved it there. I loved the product. I'd worn it since I was a small child. And I believed in the product. I believed in the company culture and the mission. And I stayed for a very long time, close to 23 years, despite the fact that there were challenges and I got better offers elsewhere. It was always more important to me to be in a place where I felt I could be myself, which is very ironic because what ultimately happened, I worked my way up to chief marketing officer, a very high level, prominent position. I was in that job for 8 years, which is a very long time for a CMO. They usually get fired after about 2 years. I helped the company through a successful initial public offering in 2019. And by all accounts, I was next in line for CEO. I got promoted to brand president. But in March of 2020, I was outspoken about public school closures in my city of San Francisco, but nationally as well as other restrictions to kids, closed playgrounds, the masking of toddlers, vaccine mandates for young children, all of it. And after 2 years of conflict inside the company with my peers and my boss, the CEO, telling me I needed to stop talking about these things, I was called a racist and every name you can imagine in front of the whole company. And then eventually in January 22, I was told there was no longer a place for me at the company because I had not heeded their warnings, essentially. I did not accept their severance, which would have been hush money. I would have had to sign a non-disclosure agreement, and I quit very publicly instead so I could talk about the censorship that has overtaken corporate America.
Wow.
Well, I saw you on Laura Ingraham and I was just cheering. I pulled my husband into the room like, you've got to hear this woman. I didn't know who you were. I'm a huge Levi person. And I'm like you probably back in the day. I was a young girl when I wore my first pair and that's all we wanted to wear. I think in middle school, it was just Levi's 501s.
It was the coolest.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember I make my mom wash them over and over and over and over again. So they would not be because they were kind of stiff, but if you wash them times or buy them used, when I figured out that you could buy them at like thrift stores,
that's the best.
Oh, that was like a game changer. But so your story is just so compelling to me. But like I said, it really resonated when you were talking on Fox. And so I guess my question would be, what was your relationship like with your colleagues before 2020? I mean, were you mostly aligned value-wise?
Yeah, I mean, I think there was the sort of personal and political, and I think politically I come from the left. I don't know what I am anymore, but I would have called myself left of center up until March 2020. I was a registered Democrat. I'd only ever voted for a Democrat or the candidate that was further left. You know, I had voted for when Gavin Newsom ran for mayor in San Francisco, I did not vote for him. I voted for the Green Party candidate. Well, not sure.
You went more left.
Yeah. But anyway,
that's okay.
all of that aside, I never felt in conflict with the stances or the values of my peers and those at the company. If anything, they thought I was sort of too far left. Yeah. But I'd always, been somewhat outspoken politically, and I'd shared candidates that I supported. Sure. So this is not about them censoring political speech. It's about, it's viewpoint discrimination, right. Because it was the specific things that I was supporting. And I want to be clear, I was very diplomatic. I was very appropriate. I have a well-trained diplomatic voice as a woman in corporate America. I wasn't on these angry rants. I was simply pointing out that harms would be done to children, primarily low-income children. I was pointing out the hypocrisy of private schools being open, which my peers were sending their children to, and still telling me I couldn't advocate for the same for low-income children in San Francisco. And so politically, I had always found myself aligned, so there were really no conflicts and no issues. I did not suspect the fervor with which the left would reject anyone advocating for open public schools, because I thought this was a view the left should have had.
For sure. Yes.
And it just seems confusing because it seems like what you were saying, you were advocating for children previously, and now all of a sudden it wasn't okay. And that's very confusing to me.
Yeah. And I mean, you mentioned that I was advocating previously. I had been an advocate for child athletes. I was an elite gymnast as a child, and I had endured a very abusive coaching culture and have been a very outspoken athlete advocate since 2008 when I wrote my first book called Chalked Up. No one took any issue with that. I mean, I was involved in all sorts of stuff. No one took any issue with any of it. And so I had no cause to suspect that they didn't believe the things they said, if you see what I'm saying.
No, it didn't make sense, not logical, reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, the minute I started advocating, I guess I knew it was kind of controversial because everybody I knew thought we need to stay home forever. But I thought I could talk sense into people. I thought I could get them to see, boy, was I wrong. I mean, it was just cult-like, this idea that we have to do everything Fauci says and no one is lying to us. And if you want schools open and think they should open, or the kids should at least have the option to go to in-person school, then you're a racist. That's what everyone believed in San Francisco. So all my peers and colleagues turned against me, or at the very least distanced themselves from me. And then I should say, personally, having been there so long, I had what I thought were very strong relationships and friendships. And I was a very engaged manager and leader. I spent a lot of time with people. I helped people build careers. That was sort of the most satisfying part of my job. And all those people, not one person stood up in my defense. Not even to say, you know what, they don't even to say I agree with her. How about just, I don't necessarily agree, but she has a right to say it.
Absolutely.
Yes, your freedom of speech.
First Amendment, how about?
This I've been thinking about this a lot, actually, while listening to your book. How many people is that? You say not one, but is that out of 1,000 or more? Thousands, plural.
With an S.
And look, it's a $6 billion company. You have, maybe 1,000 in corporate in San Francisco, but we have corporate offices all around the world. I manage a team of well over 1,000 in over 100 countries. We have sales associates in stores. We have distribution center workers. I mean, I don't even know the number, but it's over 10,000 people globally that work at Levi's. And, I wasn't engaged necessarily with all the folks on the ground, but the people on my team that knew me best, people that I had worked with for 20 years, 2 decades, I'd been to baby showers, weddings, not one word of defense. And my own peers who, like I said, were sending their own children to private school. One, in fact, and this is really upsetting to me, our head of HR, who was the one assigned to kind of cajole me into stopping unsuccessfully, she even said at a certain point, she said, I agree with everything you're saying. You can't say it.
Oh, wow.
And that's when I was like, hell no.
No.
I feel like we met up with a few of those around our town too, where someone, especially the doctors. I kept waiting for a doctor to come up and say, no, wait a minute.
They're the last.
Yeah,
right.
I really unfortunately lost a lot of respect for some people in the medical community. I've gained a lot of respect for the ones that stood up, but it's just so surprising when people that you think that you know so well kind of abandon you or look at you like you've got horns coming out of your head or something.
Well, and accuse you of the most horrible things. I mean,
yes,
it was bad enough that folks distanced themselves from me, but then people who knew me and the arc of my life and kind of what was in my heart and what my intentions were, fine, say she's wrong, she's misguided, she's not understanding the facts. That was not true. I was the one that did understand the facts. But let's just say you believe that. To assume that I had these, to call me these terrible names and assume that I had these terrible intentions. I mean, the reason I was called racist is the assumption was if you wanted public schools to open, you didn't care if Black children died. That was the sort of logic or illogic. They know me. They know that is so far from the truth. They know my own children are mixed race. I mean, it's insane, but none of it matters. It was cult-like, and anyone who disagreed with the narrative had to be banished, and there was no name that was off limits.
And this is what's so crazy to me as you're saying this, and as I'm listening to your book, Levi's Unbuttoned. I guess the thing for me, I'm trying to analyze all this, is that it seems like this happened so fast and everybody got in such lockstep so quickly. And there was no room for data analysis. There was, you'd think 30% of them would have been data driven. I know you are very data driven because that's what you did. And so it was like, okay for Jennifer to evaluate marketing data, but you're all of a sudden you can't understand other data.
I can't read a bar chart.
Right? Like I don't understand honestly. Median. I don't get this. I'm like wondering how they all, like by the thousands, got in lockstep. I'm so confused.
It's confusing. I'm not sure I'll ever totally understand it, but I remember leaving the house sometime in March of 2020, and we were all told, you need to stay home. And I went out on the streets and in search of toilet paper, I think, because remember there was like a run on toilet paper.
I remember.
And I came home, and the streets were empty, and it felt really apocalyptic. And I said to I'd run into one woman who screamed at me because I got within 6 feet of her. I think I tried to hold a door for her. She was pushing a double wide stroller through, and she did not want my help. And I said to my husband, they really think that they're all going to die.
Yes.
They think that. They really think they think crossing the threshold of their home is taking their life into their hands. And I just, in moments of empathy, which I do have, less so now, but there was a rolling sort of death ticker on CNN, and
we've never seen that before, ever.
If you went on CNN, if you went to the New York Times, it was just this constant scroll of death. Now imagine if you saw that for other things all the time. How many car accidents? How many? You would, I guess, walk around terrified. And these were the news sources people trusted. I trusted these news sources up until then. I don't anymore.
Well, there has been some video from one of those news sources, undercover video, where one of the gentlemen admitted, being a fear stoker, like he's trying to stoke fear through that. And I guess because I am so analytical, I'm like, why, what's in it for you? Like, what's in it for a news person to create fear? I don't understand
take
that.
Power and control and scare people. I mean, that would be one of the things that I would think of. And I'm not as data driven as you are, for sure, Jennifer, but even I was watching, one of my favorites during COVID was a guy, Dr. Franks, and he just kept putting out data. And like I said, I'm not even a math person. And I'm like, this just does not add up. And I was just trying to tell everybody and nobody would listen, It
just didn't make sense. I mean, in San Francisco, they closed the playgrounds for 9 months. Children couldn't go outside and play. I mean, it was just obvious that there was no risk outside. They closed hiking trails and beaches. And it was pretty clear, if you bothered to read the data from the beginning, that the risk was very much stratified. Old people, thousands times more at risk. And then, the second category was overweight people and obese people. And so they closed the gyms and they closed the hiking trails and they closed any way for anyone to actually get any exercise. They wanted you to literally stay home all the time. I mean, they were tracking our cell phone data in San Francisco to see if we left our home.
That's scary.
That's very Well, that's kind of tyrannical.
I mean, it really is. And here's what I also just didn't understand. Let's just say it was as dangerous as they were saying, which it wasn't. To my mind, those interventions are still egregious violations of our civil liberties. They're wrong no matter what. Mm-hmm. And if it was that dangerous, people would stay home willingly. Mm-hmm. But absolutely, they were unnecessary, ineffective, and harmful. And like I said, egregious violations of our civil liberties. People couldn't worship. They tracked in San Francisco. They turned everybody into a snitch. If people saw someone going in your house, they were encouraged to call the police. There was a special number set up because you weren't allowed to have people in your own home because you weren't allowed to mix households. How anyone is not alarmed by that, I don't understand. That's like something I never thought I'd see in my lifetime in the United States. That's like right out of East Germany.
Yeah, China.
China, North Korea. I mean, these
communist countries.
This is the thing. And you know, what we love about you is we might differ on some things, but the neat thing is that what we do agree is about the Constitution. We do agree about the Bill of Rights. And see, I think that's the concerning thing is like, you know, this democratic, you know, orthodoxy, like if you don't agree on every single level of their agenda and platform, that's know, you're ousted. And that's the whole reason why there's that saying, divide and conquer. I mean, you know,
and they did. And I was wondering in the beginning when I was called all these terrible names because it was racist, but it was all this other stuff too. I was called a Trumper. I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't vote for Trump. And then I was called QAnon and I had to look up what that was.
Yeah.
I was like, what have I even done to indicate any of this? But it doesn't matter because you violate one principle and then you get lumped in the bucket with all the other crazy things. And to be clear, the purpose of that is to keep others silent.
Oh,
because nobody wants to be called that. I mean, it was very clear, you know, in the beginning, I think they thought they could coerce me into stopping. But after a few months, it was kind of clear that I was not going to. But I'll tell you what, kept everyone else quiet.
Well, and what I thought it was kind of so ironic with your story was this, you know, shutting down your speech, which freedom of speech is an American thing. We stand on that. We believe in it. And, you know, we have this patriotism about freedom of speech and being rugged individualists, which is Levi. And so they're shutting down the thing that was so incredible about you. You were willing to stand up and be that individualist and say what I mean and believe. And that's kind of Levi. And then they wanted to take that away from you and say, but not here, not now.
Yeah, they don't really believe in any of those.
So no freedom of speech.
No, they
dialogue.
believe in the appearance of rugged individuality, and they believe in the appearance of courage and freedom of speech, but not the true thing. That's what I've learned. And it's why I'm not a Democrat anymore.
And going into that I mean, I read in your book and I had heard this, I've heard of woke and capitalism, but you defined it so well. Can you define that again for our audiences? I love the way that you said that in the book and I can't say
Yeah. I mean, I think wokeness, which the right likes to say, or not the right, sorry, the left likes to say, oh, you can't even define it. It's this made up thing. It's not really a risk. I think it's pretty easy to define. It's really sort of rearranging the world and every problem we face and every challenge into through the lens of oppressor versus oppressed, even when that has nothing to do with it. COVID had nothing to do with that. It was a respiratory virus.
Right.
But if you reorganize, I would argue the obesity epidemic that we're seeing is not about oppressor and oppressed. It's about unhealthy lifestyles. But the woke view is everything is about that. And it causes us to see it in the wrong terms and reach the wrong solutions. Because, for instance, the solution now, if you view the obesity epidemic as a white supremacist issue of oppression, then what flows from that is this sort of idea of food neutrality and healthy at any size. And we can't criticize, and not that it has to be a criticism of a person to say this isn't healthy for you. It doesn't have to be, the person is a value, but that is not a healthy lifestyle. And it just precludes us dealing with this issue. So that's what woke is to me. And it is very much rooted in a Marxist ideology. With Marxism, it was class. They're always changing the hierarchy of oppression, and COVID, that's what that became. Woke capitalism is, corporate America's embrace of wokeism. And the reason they do it is they think if they adopt these values of these young woke activists, they can sort of cloak themselves in goodness and they can make money off of it. So it's really a lie. They can make money off it because they signal to these youngsters, we share your values, you should buy our stuff. But they don't share your values. Their whole reason for being in business is making money. It serves a secondary principle or goal of shielding them from scrutiny, because the press loves it. They love that they wrap themselves in these woke values, so they don't interrogate the company and the company's P&L and, everything they really are all about. And the CEOs love being heroes.
Well, I would love to read. It's funny that we're talking about this because I had to stop the car and write this down because it's so, I called her, I was like, Julie, have you heard this quote from this book? I thought this was just perfect the way you described this. You said, no matter in this new gilded age, journalists themselves, often politically biased and ethically compromised, have continued to spread the fiction that corporate leaders and entrepreneurs, as not just good people, but near God-like figures. We, the people, eat it up because it helps to fill the religion-sized gaping hole in our increasingly secular culture's atheist heart. And today's ostentatiously woke CEOs are more than happy to play along, eager to prove to the public and themselves that they are not just guys out to make a buck. Woke capitalism signals that their guiding intention is to make this a better, more just world, even as it distracts us from their only true intention, enhancing their company's bottom line and their own. Ooh. Boom.
Yeah.
That done. Like for me.
Did I write that? That's good.
Yeah. You wrote that, Jennifer.
Right here.
I heard it this morning and she told me last night, I'm like, wow, that is good. That was powerful. Worth stopping the car for.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, that sums it up. And the thing is they do start to believe it about themselves. Look, these people, the C-suiters, not just CEOs, but most people, they love to be, loved. They have huge egos. They believe they're on top because they deserve it, although that's not the case in many instances. And in this world of denouncing privilege, it's not cool anymore to be rich. So they have to denounce the privilege and pretend they're in it because they're do-gooders, which is a lie. If they were do-gooders, they would be doing something else. They would work at nonprofits, or they would, I don't know what I was going to say teachers, but that's all mixed up right now. Most teachers are really good. So I'll leave that one out there. They would not be chasing a buck, right?
The Benjamin.
So yeah, you don't choose a career in corporate America if your true ambition is to change the world. And so, what I would say to people is the minute you hear a CEO saying that their mission for their company is to change the world, whether it's Adam Newman from WeWork or Sam Bankman-Fried from FTX, run. That they are lying and they are obscuring some unsavory truth. A CEO that is focused on the goal of a business, which is to deliver profits for the shareholders, for the employees, and to grow the company by focusing on product excellence, but do it fairly and treat employees well, that's a well-run business.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we love your book. We've already been listening to it, and you're a great narrator, by the way, but your book is called Levi's Unbuttoned. The woke mob took my job, but gave me my voice, which is an excellent title. Please, can you tell us about that?
About the title or
about the book? More about the book. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely covers the sort of end of my career at Levi's and the battle that I went through with my peers to try to convince them, one, that I had to right to say these things, and two, that I was actually correct in saying them. I lost that battle, but it's not just about that. You ladies know this because you've read it. It is a memoir. And it does start with my own childhood. And the reason I start there is to, I was an elite athlete, an elite gymnast, and this is a really obedience enforcing culture to a degree you cannot fathom. And so I wanted to sort of paint this picture, like if I can screw up my courage to stand up to the mob and say the truth and stand up for children, then so can you, because I think that we are the majority. I think that the people with common sense that see the truth for what it is are the majority. The people that believe in the Bill of Rights, I think we're the majority. But I think half of us are too scared to say anything. And they're right to be scared. Look what happened to me, right? I lost my job. But if we do it together, then we're the majority. So, my hope in reading the book is that it gives people a little bit of inspiration to kind of push back on these false narratives and speak the truth.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, I think it definitely does that.
Yeah, for sure. And where can they find your book? Amazon and just
you can find it on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com. Some people don't like buying from those. You can buy it from the publisher at levisunbuttoned.com, basically where books are sold.
That's awesome. And so what are you doing now? How can people connect with you and follow you? And
well, I'm active on Twitter, despite that being the sort of primary venue for my ousting. Not the only. I mean, I was outspoken in lots of places, but I'm just my name, which was probably my first mistake on Twitter. I use my real name from the very beginning. So you can find me there, Jennifer Say, S-E-Y. I have a Substack, again, under my name, Jennifer Say. And that's the best place to find me. And then, of course, there's reading the book. And I am, as far as what I'm up to now, I'm in the process of making a documentary film about the harms to children from the school closures.
Great. That's excellent.
Yeah. And I'm starting to get back out there and do some branding and marketing work again, which is, I got to get back to work. I've been out of work a year. So
yeah, I think I saw that on Instagram. I saw you filming, I think it was in Denver maybe, but I saw that. So I was like, oh my goodness, what is she up to? So we were just curious what you were doing now.
You're not going to go into politics. You'd be a great senator or governor.
No.
You've got data. You're logical, reasonable. You're nonpartisan. We need women.
People have asked that. It sounds awful.
It does, doesn't it? It really does. Okay, I tried.
No, it just doesn't sound.
I know.
Look,
Too
I can't really think
that.
I think also, can you think of anywhere where you have to watch what you say more than in politics?
Yeah. You did say you're diplomatic, though.
I am, but I still think you are kind of forced into a little box in a corner, and I'm enjoying my freedom too much.
I bet you are. Well, thank you for joining us today, Jennifer, at Moms on a Mission. We just so appreciate, we know you're busy forging your new path, and we just so appreciate you for being on. And thank you for writing the book and really shining the light for women and pioneering a path towards, boldness and courage, and just showing them that if we stick together, we really are in the majority and we can make a difference.
Thanks.
I think that is true. I think, a few brave folks have to go first, but we can bring the others along. Ultimately, I maintain hope and believe in people that they see the truth or that they care about the truth. Despite everything that's happened in the last 3 years, I still believe that to be the case. So, come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Come on,
join us. Yes.
Join us.
Well, we would love to hear from you. Let's get connected. And if you'll go to our website at momsonamission.net and fill out your information, we can notify you when new episodes are being released. That's momsonamission.net, and follow us on your favorite platform, and email us with your questions at momsonamission53@gmail.com. That's momsonamission53@gmail.com. Moms on a Mission is excited to partner with our friends at MyPillow. According to sleep experts and sleephealth.org, over 50 million Americans struggle to get a good night's rest. That's where MyPillow comes in. They make the best pillows, sheets, mattresses, and mattress toppers. Several years ago, I was having trouble falling and staying asleep due to neck and shoulder pain. Luckily, I heard an ad about MyPillow and decided to give it a try. After 3 or 4 days, I really began to feel a difference. I was sleeping better and my neck and shoulders felt so much better. MyPillow really does help you fall asleep faster and stay asleep longer. Moms on a Mission wants you to get a great night's rest too. Go to mypillow.com right now and use the promo code MISSION for up to 66% off your purchase. MyPillow products are made in America and have a 60-day money-back guarantee and lifetime warranty. Remember, go to mypillow.com, put in the special code MISSION for your special Moms on a Mission discount. Thank you and God bless.
Hey guys, it's Moms on a Mission here. Are you worried about your financial stability and protecting the money for which you worked so hard? The problem is stock market volatility and inflation. You may be wondering what you can do to preserve your family's wealth. We at Moms on a Mission encourage you to reach out to our friend Andrew Sorcini with Beverly Hills Precious Metals. Andrew is the expert in educating you to help you find the right balance of gold and silver for your family portfolio. He made it so easy for me to add precious metals to my financial investments. I simply mailed a check to Beverly Hills Precious Metals and my silver showed up on my doorstep a few days later. It was so easy. Go to bh-pm.com to save a little money and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. That's bh-pm.com. Don't wait. Protect your wealth today by going to bh-pm.com and tell them that Moms on a Mission sent you. Hi, everybody. It's Moms on a Mission here. Recent research from the CDC says that millions of Americans develop parasitic infections and symptoms often go unnoticed or are misdiagnosed.
Parasites are the cause of many health problems, such as anxiety, depression, chronic pain, fatigue, and unexplained digestive issues. We all need a common sense strategy to improve our health.
We at Moms on a Mission encourage you to reach out to our good friend, Dr. Jason Dean. Dr. Dean's Full Moon Protocol provides all-natural detoxification and fights inflammation. These supplements are made with 100% organic ingredients and are proven to kill parasites safely and effectively.
To order your Full Moon Protocol, go to bravetv.store/mission to save $20 off your first order. That's bravetv.store/mission. Order Full Moon Protocol and start killing those foreign invaders that have been keeping you sick. That's bravetv.store/mission to receive $20 off your first order.